Hello.
There
Good
we go.
evening again.
Good evening. Namo Buddhabe.
No
Namo
more
Buddhabe.
minutes. No more minutes. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
Sorry, I've
Always.
got my the animal realm is joining us again for this beginning of this session anyway. Anyway, so yes, shall we get to it then? My
Yes.
topic that I'd like to discuss for this session is how to introduce this. Basically, I probably will entitle it something like the ultimate medicine, the ultimate medicine of Buddhism. But I want to use the analogy of some of I guess you'd call it a meme, a mode of discussing certain things that developed kind of starting with the Matrix and then kind of evolved in the kind of world of the interwebs, world of the internet, and became kind of took on a life of its own and evolved. Then that's the red pill, the famous red pill that kind of started it all. Um, like to kind of talk about that a bit and talk about it from a kind of Buddhist perspective because I feel like I'll just say this, just I'll go to the end so we can go to the beginning. But when it comes to, I thought this would be a fitting topic for make Samsara great again. Is you know in as a Buddhist, when it comes to samsaric existence, about on just about every level, just on that level, as a being experiencing samsara, I'm fairly black pilled when it comes to just about every aspect of life, um, uh, from the geopolitical to the cultural to the whatever, whatever level you want to say that on. And then, but when it comes to from a Buddhist perspective, I'd call myself light pilled. I'd say I'm the ultimate pill. The ultimate Buddhist light pill. From the world, the world of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the teaching, the truth, that's the ultimate medicine. The ultimate pill is the light pill. And in our tradition, in the Jodo Shinshu tradition, you're given. That's a pill you're given. You don't have to take it. You certainly respond to it, and we'll get to that. People's responses to the different pills and things. Um, but so yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about the origins of it briefly, the different pills briefly, and then kind of maybe talk about how they've been made to look kind of bad. Because the whole idea of pills, in general, of all the pills, from the red pill through the white, through the black pill, through the white pill, and every pill, iron pill, green pill, all the other pills in between, if you can call it in between, around the spectrum of pills, have been, the whole idea of it is people people coming to see, in some sense, the way things actually are in life, as opposed to what we're taught, what we're, you know, educated to believe, what we're pressured to believe by whatever institutions, um, family, society, government, media, what have you. Um, the whole multifaceted complex and memeplex of those things that make you, try to get you to think it's, oh, no, no, don't look over here. Don't notice that. This is how life actually is. And all the pills are about, no, actually, we're seeing behind the curtain. We're noticing this. That doesn't jive with what you're, and seeing light. So it's seeing in some sense for limited, in the Buddhist framework, I would say limited human beings caught in their own ignorance and limited limited by their karmic causes and conditions. It's them in some sense trying to see the truth, trying to see things as they actually are, as best they can, and then living or responding accordingly to that. Now, in society, that becomes, you know, that suddenly that becomes extremist. They've made the pill thing has been made to look like this extremist thing, this extremist right wing thing, or something tied to just male female relationships in one way or another. With the incels or the MGTOWs or the and it's tried to make it all tie it to those really negative things when it isn't. That's not how it started. That's not how what it's associated with, as far as I'm concerned. And all those, it has to be discredited. Anything that's going to try to look at the truth has to be discredited, basically, in the Mapo times we're living, in society. So anyway, that's a brief introduction to it all. And so, yeah, should we just start quickly by talking about the
No, I
Matrix
should give,
and
yes. So
right.
I should give attribution.
Yeah.
Um, because it obviously the pills come from the Matrix. There is actually we know who introduced this to online discourse. It comes from one specific person, which is Curtis Yarvin was the first person to steal it from the Wachowskis.
Okay.
Who, yeah, if you're not familiar, I mean, he's a difficult thinker to sum up. And I don't want to go into it because I'll take us off very far off Buddhism. But he's like he's an advocate of restructuring the U.S. like system as on the model of a private corporation. So, I mean, the simplest way to describe him is an advocate of dictatorship in America, which isn't inaccurate, but it's an oversimplification.
Okay.
He's a very interesting thinker. I'm very critical, but it's interesting because when you said you wanted to talk about this, I was just listening to an interview he put out a day or two ago, earlier today. So I was like, oh, the pills. He took it from the Matrix, and then it was very quickly stolen from him by which is why very few people know that he's the first person to use it in this kind of metaphorical context by Nazis to find a point on it, and incels.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, very unfortunate. Or maybe incels is oversimplification, but that sort of that pickup artists and MGTOWs. It's an oversimplification. But
incels,
that end of the internet,
exactly.
Right? But what's really
and all kinds of grifters in that culture, all kinds of grifters, who think, well, if you just do things this way, or I'll help you through whatever pill you're going to, you know what I mean? The grifters make a lot of money on vulnerable people.
Yeah,
a lot of money on these vulnerable men that just are, do you know what I mean? Are that they know they're not really going to be able to do these things. Like, you can change your life if you just this, that, and the other thing. Do you know what I mean? It's such a grift. It's such an utter grift. And they full well know. Well, they might not. People that are the grifters might not know, but people have karmic causes and conditions, and they're not going to be able. There's certain things you're just not going to be able to do. And it's a big grift. But anyway, that's a whole nother.
But what's so powerful about this meme is that it's sort of almost infinitely plastic, right? Like it's used and then becomes associated with these particular sort of ideological orientations, but you could use the pills for pretty much anything.
Yes,
and that's why it worked so well, right? Like so, but anyway, I interrupted you. Go into the Matrix for people who don't know, but
just to say that it has been co-opted. It's both been co-opted by very negative aspects of aspects of internet culture during Mapo. I think it's been co-opted by them, by very negative groups and forces. But also it's been made, that has been taken advantage of to discredit anyone using this analogy, using this kind of mimetic way of framing reality, or framing whatever they want to look, however they want to look at things. Do you see what I mean?
Mm, 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 mm.
So I just, yeah. So anyway, The Matrix, yes. So, yeah, probably most people have seen The Matrix and know the kind of storyline of it. Um, that there's you know at some point in the early 21st century, is it, or the late 20th century? I can't remember. There
Mm.
was they've well, actually, in sometime in the 21st century, there was a war with the machines, and um, make a long story short, the machines came up with a way to turn humans into batteries. Again, spoiler alerts. I'll put spoiler alerts in the message of this in case someone hasn't seen the films. But um, anyway, so the machines come up with a way to turn human beings into batteries because human beings have cut off their solar. They used geoengineering to cut off the sun so the machines wouldn't have solar power, which was their main source of power. So they turned to another source, which was humans, basically, and turned them into batteries and inserted them into the matrix, this alternate artificial, computer generated, AI generated reality that people believe that their existence in this digital reality is a real thing, and it kind of resembles the late 20th century, when anyway. So so there's certain characters within this, and within the cosmology of these movies, there's certain characters who kind of wake up to this within that reality, and help others to wake up to it and escape from it, and escape to the real world, and then realize, oh, we are in the real world is pretty stark, this dystopic, what would you call it, just the ruined landscape of the earth, and so humans have found a way to live underground. And anyway, so the point being, coming back to the people that kind of start waking up to things, and people that start, that go into the matrix, that have escaped from the matrix and then use technology to go back into the matrix, use um in that digital reality, literally give characters a choice. Some characters, anyway, the ones who don't wake up themselves, will say. Some characters in the Matrix wake themselves up and they escape, that way. But some are rescued, and those who are rescued, they will use this technique of offering them. They get them to a certain point of understanding, like something's not quite right about the world, and they've come to a point where just reality isn't what it seems, and what's wrong, what is going on with this, and they get to that certain ripe point. And usually when you're younger, it's better, in this in the fictional framework of the films. But anyway, at some point you're offered a choice by these rescuers that have come back into the matrix through their technology to help free humans, I should say, from the matrix. And so you can see there's lots of Buddhism in the films, just in and of themselves. Lots of Buddhism, lots of Gnosticism and Buddhism and Hinduism, and just various other things, but lots of dharmic, in the broader sense,
Mm.
teachings in there, and lots of Gnostic kind of teachings in there. But anyway, so or mythology, or whatever you want to call that. But anyway, so these rescuers, these people who are still trapped within the matrix, will offer them a choice at some point to say, look, something's wrong, you see it in everything, do you really want to know the truth? And if you can either take the red pill or the blue pill, or is it the blue pill is in the right hand, isn't it, and the red pill is in the left hand. I can't remember now. I think
I
that's how
can't
it is.
remember. No, yeah.
Anyway, it probably shifts, but anyway. So you have a choice. You can take the blue pill, and you'll forget everything that you've now been struggling with, and just go back to just accepting reality as it is. And you won't necessarily ever question it again. You'll just be comfortable with it, and you'll just accept it as your reality. Or you can take the red pill and know the truth. But there's no turning back. If you take the red, whichever one you take, that's your choice. You're making your choice. And the red pill is the avenue to the is the kind of digital analogy, digital what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Avenue, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Metaphor?
Route, not route, yeah, but in medical terms, what's the word I'm
Oh,
looking for? In medical terms,
mechanism of action?
delivery, the
Yeah.
delivery unit or delivery system, the delivery system. That's it. It's the red pill is the delivery system to get you finally to escape from the matrix and be in the real world, and they can locate you, uh, where you are in these essentially battery pods, and then come and rescue you, and etc. Anyway, so that's where the red pill kind of came from, and the blue pill, as it were, and that's all that kind of was at first. Anything kind of was seeing anything where people were seeing a truth alternate, whatever it was to do with politics, geopolitics, society, life, relationships, whatever it was. It was just the red. It was just the red pill. You're starting to see reality as it is through the red pill, and then it was, and if you were in, if in and they used, like they did in the Matrix, they would call other people who didn't try, couldn't see, or just normies, quote unquote, would be just blue pills, be referred to as, blue pills, or somebody might be, have started to question things, but found a kind of something to cope and to accept. No, yeah, no, this is how it still works with reality. My life as it is, it's okay. It's just a coping. So anybody who was just using a coping mechanism, or was just not seeing reality as it is, then they're blue pills. They've taken the blue pill, kind of thing. Um, so that's where it began, and then it evolved into all these other pills. So would you like to briefly list the different types of?
It's okay. So doing that
Yeah,
exhaustively, I think, is impossible
it
because
is.
there are
Agreed.
so many.
Agreed.
And also some of the ones, I mean, I don't think I can talk about on YouTube without getting
No,
you
no,
sort
no,
of.
definitely not. Yeah,
So
no.
so I
Some of
won't.
them I'd rather
Um,
not. And those
no,
I
yeah,
really
no,
I sort of discount as a Buddhist.
yeah,
They're not,
yeah,
they're poisons. They're not, they're not
yeah.
pills.
And I mean,
They're not medicine, they're
to be
pills.
indicative,
They're not,
like,
they're like poisons. They're like narcotics. They're not narcotic drugs
however
to
bad.
keep you trapped. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, exactly. However, I mean, with the worst of these, however bad whoever's listening
Yeah.
thinks it is, it's worse, right? Like, I mean, it is the worst things. You can figure it out for
Yeah.
yourself. I'm not going
Yeah.
to talk about that. So
Yeah.
the most common ones, and so I'll just stick to the biggest ones. I think after the red and blue pill, which I think you've summed up nicely, there's the black pill, which is sort of pessimism, essentially, right? Like
Yeah,
accepting
I
a
would
negative
say,
outlook.
yeah.
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 The white pill, which is the opposite, right? It's sort of an
Well,
optimistic,
I would say
or is
it
it?
is optimistic, but it starts with one of the other pills, and you kind of get to the black pill, but then you go, no, but there's a way through it. You reach a kind of crisis. A person will reach a kind of crisis in the whatever pill they're in, that will, and they're heading toward the black pill, or just completely backpilled, but suddenly something will happen, or they'll reach a crisis in their thinking that it actually, no, there is a way through. There is do you see what I mean? I think there's that connection with it,
Maybe, yeah, it's
as
probably a better
well.
way
Yeah.
of characterizing. Because a lot of
Yeah.
these are sort of intuitive and sentimental. You
Yes.
can't really sort of like use a
No.
word to, but I think
Exactly.
that's a good way to
Exactly.
characterize the white
Exactly.
pill. Then
Yeah.
there's the clear pill, which was the
Mhm.
one invented by Curtis Yarvin, who started using his red pill. And the clear pill, I think, is what he meant by that is sort of seeing things as they are, but kind of in an objective, detached way.
Mhm.
Um, so and then, well, I think those are the most common ones, but then there's just a few more just to
Almost
kind of
be a
give you a
stoic
of,
way. That would almost be like a stoic,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
accepting
yeah,
it as it is, seeing it clearly, but somehow being able to be dispassionate, and
yeah,
not
yeah.
get involved with it, and just accept it as it is, kind of thing.
So I think if those are the most common ones. I just wanted to give a couple more just to kind of
Yep.
illustrate
Yep.
how flexible and broad it is. So there's being iron pilled,
Yes. It's one
which
of my
is
favorites.
when you
That's
yeah. Well, some of these have more than one meaning, right? So
yeah.
tell
Yeah.
me if this is the
Let's
one you know. But
yeah.
iron pilled is when you discover the sort of importance or significance of weightlifting, or that's how I've
Well,
come
no,
across it.
I take it
No?
broader. I say
Right.
yes, that's true, but I take it broader to a very holistic level of health,
Mm, mm,
including nutrition. That I've kind of considered myself kind of iron pilled at times with, kind of with nutrition, exercise, of all kinds, whether it's weightlifting or running, cardio,
mm, mm,
you
mm.
know, a combination of all of these things. And also, I would say mental health as well would be included, in doing things to exercise your mind, doing things to improve your mental health, not just your physical health, but so it's all those things for me. It's a much more holistic, uh, I frame it in a much more broader, holistic
Mm, mm.
kind of way. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Then there's being green pilled,
Yeah. Yeah.
which right, which is sort of
Also a good one.
environmentalism or the
Environments, yeah,
significance of the
related.
environment. Yeah. Um,
But
there's
I would say with them, that's that it's a I would frame it in again a broader way, the whole idea is, we need to reverse the way we're living. We're living on top of the earth. We're living, you know, dominating the earth and just using the earth and using resources and just using it up. Whereas, I think if you take the green pill, you go, you want to live with the earth. You want to live
mm,
within
mm,
your means. You want to live sustainably in harmony with the earth, in harmony with natural systems. So do you see what I mean? That's kind of, and so, and that the truth of it, the truth that's, of the pill is that we're living very opposite to that. We're living very destructively, in that sense, um, almost hopelessly. So I would say, but the answer is, you know, is more along that line. It's like that, use another meme. I don't know if you've ever seen those images where there's an image, side by side. One side says ego, and the word ego is on top of all these other, animal images of little icon animal, icon images of
mm, mm.
animals and trees and resources and things like that, kind of, and and ego is at the top, you know of this, almost this like hierarchy underneath everything else underneath, whereas and on the other side it says eco, and
All right. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
has the human consciousness kind of, you know just one, just ego is just one part of this big circle, whereas the other one, it might either be at the top of it, or it'll just, the ego will be in the mid center using up everything, whereas in the other side, eco is just one word, one icon among, in just a big circle just off to the side with everything else. You see what I mean? So that's, for me, that's the green pill is going from, the ego side to the eco side in your whole lifestyle, your whole thinking, your whole lifestyle, and then trying to change the world to be that. But there is that pill, that sort of, I think there's the black pill kind of aspect of all of these. You just see that, especially if you're, I think if you're a Buddhist and a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist and Mapo, you're kind of like, even if you're not a Buddhist, I think even if you're just coming at this secularly or through another religion or through another philosophy, there is an element of the pessimism in all the pills, because you see how bad it is, how bad the reality is compared to what it should be, or what the answer is. Anyway, yeah. So,
Yeah. And I mean, there's. I want to get into that. Just let me give
and
you
there's
one more
and there's
pill.
blue pilling. People fall into the blue pill with the green pill.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
people fall
Yeah.
into easy eco answers and bad science and weaponized environmentalism, and do you see what I mean? And really dodgy science about or cliched things about the environment or ways of controlling what people think about the environment. So people fall, when they might discover like how bad it is with the environment, we really need to change this way of life, but then they start falling into these blue pill ways of dealing with it. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. So we might not
No,
get through
I'll
the
give you one.
explanations at this rate, but sorry.
I've only got one more because
Okay.
most of the other pills I know of are pretty nasty,
Yeah.
but just one which I think just illustrates sort of the flexibility of the meme, right? Which is to be bread pilled. Now
Hmm.
to be bread pilled
I think I
refers
have
to,
heard of this one actually. I think
right?
I have.
It
Yeah.
means being a communist, right? Which sounds
Yes, I think I have. Yeah.
indirect, right? And I
Hmm.
think it's because red pill was already taken. That seems like the obvious thing to call it, right? So it's
Yeah.
bread
Yeah,
because
true. And it's already
yeah,
associated with other things now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah.
already a red
It's been
pill, so
co-opted, unfortunately,
it
by
it comes from
some of
a,
the worst elements, I would say.
yeah, yeah. But it comes from I can't remember if it's a book or an essay, but a writing of Peter Kropotkin called The Conquest of Bread. Kropotkin, sorry, rather. So it sort of means anyone who gets into that kind of anarcho-communist, like radical socialist, that
Hmm.
end of
Hmm.
politics, that's being bread pilled. So I
Hmm.
mean, I think that
Hmm.
sort of illustrates the flexibility of the pills, right? And
Mm.
it's not hard to imagine how you can apply that to Buddhism, right? Like you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
right, because you also have this sort of, I think what's in what you get with this whole structure of pilling with the meme, right, is you have your initial blue-red choice, right? And then you go down this series of other medications, right? Other pills which sort of lead you for, there's various, I'm not articulating this very well, but various turning points down your
Hmm.
path in the
Hmm.
search for truth as
Yep.
you see it, right?
Yep.
And I think you see that in Shin too, right? Because your initial blue pill, red pill moment is Buddhism or not to Buddhism, right? Um,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
you have your Mahayana pill, right? You have your other power pill, you have your absolute other power pill. Um, right. So it's this,
Yeah.
there's a close, I see why you want to talk about this
And
because it's
the
easy to map
analogy,
it onto Buddhism.
it's a good
Yeah.
analogy, and I've been through, I went through my red pill period before there was a red pill,
Mm, mm, mm.
in my life, my red pill time. I would say kind of started in high school, the beginnings of it, and really kind of strongly continued into the 90s for me, which included Buddhism, and Taoism, actually.
Mm.
Um, but but then I went into these very quickly, actually, before any of the pills existed. I was heading for iron pilled and green pilled, as well as you know some of my, and tying that into sort of, well, at the time it was both Taoist and Buddhist philosophy and cosmology and things. But so yeah, you go through these different, I think people go maybe through different phases even with them, but also maybe, I'd say that, you know, the iron pill is still strongly there for me, and the green pill is still
Mm.
strongly kind of there for me. I would even say the I would make an argument that the bread pill could be a distributist, distributist or distributionist kind of pill from that kind of direction, a broader, where the resources, not just, all of the resources, not just the resources, but the the means and the capital and everything is decentralized, and more through a distributist kind of framework than a socialist socialist one. But anyway,
You completely
thought I just
well, that,
raised that since we brought that up,
no, I've got that for you.
because it's based on very different values, the distributist versus they're similar. They have similarities, but they come from a different place.
There was this I'm sure you're aware of Hilaire Belloc and Chester and J.K. Chesterton and Belloc were the two sort of main writers with um distributisms associated. And then there's this turn of phrase, the Chester Belloc, I think it was, that like their names were fused into one, kind of people like people do with Bennifer. What's her name? Jennifer Lopez and
Yeah.
Ben, whoever it was, that Ben. And one of
Ben
these Stiller,
Affleck?
but it was
Ben
Ben Affleck, right? People kind of fuse their name into one, and the earliest instance that I'm aware of that is Chesterton and Belloc, because they were sort of these Siamese twins working on this project. So I guess you could call that them being Chester Belloc pilled or Belloc pilled,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly. So, all right. So quickly, so we're under the 10 minute, we're under the 9 minute mark now. Quickly kind of bring it back to Buddhism, and kind of the ultimate, what I feel like I'm actually light pilled, you know, being a Buddhist, especially being a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, have receiving the ultimate, medicine that opens my eyes to the truth of my own life and karmic causes and
Mhm.
conditions, and that of the karmic causes and conditions of the world and times that we live in. That's the pill of Amida. That's the Amida. Is the light pill. Of Buddhism and of Amida. Of You know, approaching the world, approaching life, and um, without that, I think I would be quite black pilled uh, in my thinking. Without that, if I didn't have Buddhism in the light of Amida, although it's hard to imagine that because it's just my life has been so intertwined with that, but and just had something else, and with my same, I don't know, karmic causes and conditions and the way the world is, I, I think I would be quite black pilled about the whole thing. Um, but that's what changes it. Um, yep, samsara. I can see why you'd be black pilled about samsaric existence, particularly in Mapo, particularly in this late stage of descending Kalpa. Yeah, it's easy to see. You know, it's easy to go there, and I have gone there. I've been there, gone there. Go there still. Um, but it is the the if you think about Buddhism as the ultimate teaching to see the truth, it is the ultimate teaching. The Buddha Dharma is the ultimate way to see reality as it truly is, to see the true and the real. This to see, um, and it's the medicine, it's the pill, if you will, to eradicate our ignorance and our attachments and our aversions. To eradicate the turbidities, to eradicate the defilements, to eradicate the bono, the blind passions, if you will. Although I'm still struggling with that as the translation for for
Mhm.
that word. But um, anyway, so it's like the ultimate pill, and it's from the light. That's what I call it. It's like the white pill. It's everything that the white pill is, only incalculably. It's it's
It-
it's the white pill only transcendently. It's incalculably, immeasurably white pilled.
it comes across, it's like it's the absolute of both the white and the black pill. It's like the
Yeah,
two aspects of
yeah.
deep mind, right? Like it leads you to totally despair of yourself and of this world, but also have this total white pill experience that, and this, not even like because of that, despite that, because of that, everything is actually as good as it could be. You know what I mean? It's like that
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
articulate it very
Yeah,
well,
no,
but
I
like
see.
everything
Yes.
great. right?
Yes, yes. And you don't know how much of your karmic causes and conditions and the karmic causes and conditions of the world are, you know, your own intertwined with the karmic good from Amida working for incalculable kalpas, unimaginable you know, incalculable, immeasurable kalpas of time. All of that you can't separate. I had a discussion with Kyokan where that, it kind of that came into the discussion. It really hit me like, okay, yeah, I can't this hypercriticalness that I have of myself, this, and this regretting everything about my life. That's not really
Mm.
that's not really the Buddhist way. It's looking at it realistically. It's looking at it, but do you know what I'm saying? Um,
I absolutely do because it's, like I said, John is this enormous influence on me spiritually. And the first Dharma talk I ever heard him give was about, being that the sort of negative, the black pill side of the deep mind is not about self-flagellating. It's not
yes,
like this,
yes,
I'm so awful. Like, you can have a little bit of that maybe if you really need it, if you're like sort of on the other extreme just to even you out, but like that's not really where you're not supposed to sit there and sort of vegetate and obsess. Well, Shinran Shonin himself says you cast away the weight of your evil karma, right? It's like you don't obsess over it. You're liberated of it in that sense, right?
yeah,
So, um, yeah.
yeah. And you're so another aspect of this, it's because of the light of Amida. It's because of the light pill, if you will, of Amida, of Buddhism, that we see our life for what it
Mm,
is, our karmic causes
mm,
and conditions, and our time and our place, and of the whole world for what it is. We see it. We see it, and we naturally, because of that, we naturally want the true and real. We naturally want to realize Buddhahood. We naturally want, through Amida, this is through Amida's
mhm,
working, through that
mhm,
light, through that pill, that light pill of Amida, if you will. Um, we naturally want we aspire. It's through that pill we even aspire to Buddhism. It's through Amida's light. It's through Amida's working. It's through Amida's power that we even aspire to want to change. And we see we're able to and able to see the world and ourselves the way it is. So we want something different. We want to see truth, the true and the real. We want to
mm,
realize the true and the real.
mm,
It's all through that pill that we even see it, that we aspire to be it, to be the light eventually, to be but to realize Buddhism. And it by which it's the that medicine of Amida that he's giving us, that we go to be born in Pure Land and then return to help all beings under the upaya of Amida, through multiple
mm,
bodhisattva Buddha
mm,
forms
mm.
in the upaya of Amida to bring other beings along, but that's all because of, so to me, it's in a sense, it's like it's the ultimate pill. There isn't a higher, pill. And it's the pill that contains all the others. It's the
And that
one,
that is
all the
it's
positive others, all
yep,
the
yep.
life-giving, uh
That
all the truth-giving, light-giving, um life-giving, um um lessening harm pills, I should say.
and that's a
Yeah.
perfect note to end on. If you think you red pilled, the pill you really want is the Amida pill.
If you're any pill, this is the one you want. This is ultimately the one you want. And then all the others fit in. All the others just fit into